today in the video step-by-step tutorial. This is a mini album using 7x5 card blanks. So it's just perfect for a beginner, great for a seasonal crafter if you want to make quick projects, better if you're making projects for fundraising for stalls and things. So it's just a brilliant little project to do. I'm going to be using the Hinge system that I have used before, but one I haven't used for a while, but you can see why I wanted to use it in this book. Can you see how flat that hinge lays? Just perfect. And the nice thing about it is when all the pages are on one side, look how beautifully they lay. No problems at all. The hinge moves without any bother at all. You've not got to worry about it. So this is the project we're going to make. I'm using 5x7 cards. So you can download the PDF with the instructions and measurements. But the same principles apply if you want to make it with 6x4 cards and cards. So you can quite easily do it with 6x4 cards. And then if you don't have rectangular cards, you can also follow the video tutorial. Same principle applies, different measurements, but same principle. You can make square mini albums. The system is exactly the same, very easy to follow and fast to make. And that's why this is an easy, fast mini scrapbook. Perfect for a beginner, perfect for a seasonal crafter. You're going to have so much fun. So let's pop these two aside. This is the one we're going to make in the video tutorial. So gather your supplies and let's get started. For the one I'm going to make with you today, I'm using 7x5 cards. I'm not using the envelopes, just the cards. And you're going to need 10 of these. And I've got myself some coordinating cardstock. This is A4 in size, and you're going to need at least 4 sheets of that as well. And then obviously your paper collection. I'm using Sarah's Parisian paper collection here today. I'm using the papers but not making it as a Parisian album. I'm going to show you, even with this paper collection, with the papers available, you could quite easily use this the papers for any occasion. And then obviously any crafty embellishments you've got in your crafty stash. So again, using what you've got. As far as tools go, I've obviously got my wet glue. I've got the Kal-El tacky and the normal. I have got some really strong wide double-sided tape, bone folder, corner rounder, paper trimmer or guillotine I've got here as well, and really that's it. So it's basic tools we're using. If you don't have a paper trimmer, if you're a new crafter, you don't have a paper trimmer or a guillotine, why not go ahead and use just a ruler and a pair of scissors? Quite easily done like that as well. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is make our pages. As I said right at the beginning, the same rules apply if you're going to make this album with 6x6 cards, 6x4 cards, 5x5 cards, whatever size cards you want to use. I'm using 7x5 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is open my card up, and then with my paper trimmer I'm going to trim off one side 1.5 inches. So I'm just coming in at the 1.5 inch mark, making sure that's all lined up and trimming that off. So that part we're not actually going to use. You can pop that to one side, you don't need that. And then this is going to be our flap that goes over. So with the corner rounder, just going to round those two corners. That's made my flap. And then I need to make my pocket. Now you're going to do 8 like this. So you're going to need 8 of those. And then you've got 2 spare cards. So with your 2 spare cards, if you get your paper trimmer I've got a guillotine here, and then you're going to cut at the 2 spare cards you've got. You're going to cut 8 strips that measure 2.5 inches across. Your length is always going to be the same because you're using the same size cards. This is why this album is perfect for beginners to do. So, and then what I'm going to do with these as well is corner rounder those as well. So if you're a beginner and you haven't got a corner rounder, I would say get yourself one. This was one of the first things I bought when I started paper crafting about 15 years ago. So useful, something you'll come back to time and time again. And the main thing is, if you can invest in a good one, go ahead and do so, because once you've got it, you've got it. It's not something you're going to keep replacing. So this is going to then create our pocket. Okay, so you're going to have 8 of these. Do not stick your pocket down yet, okay, because we're going to stick our pattern papers on first before we stick our pockets down. So I've gone ahead and already got my pattern papers all cut out here. Now the bit that's going to take you the longest out this album is actually deciding what pattern papers you're going to pick. Like anything that I do, that is the bit that takes the longest with albums, is picking the papers. So for the pattern papers, if you look at this flap is measuring 3.5 inches. So you're going to get your pattern paper to measure 3.25. By measuring 3.25, can you see you get that nice border all the way around? So let's stick that on. If you want to ink, you can. And if you want to ink, again, if you're a beginner and you haven't got any inks, do not worry. But if you have, go ahead and ink if you wish. And I'm just going around the just cut look with the ink pad. And that's as quick as that takes to do. It's just so quick and simple to do. Okay. No time at all. I think the nice thing is the fact that hopefully with these albums you can use supplies that I know a lot of you crafters will already have in your crafty stash. If you are a new crafter, I know that you can pick up these supplies very easily, so you can have a go at mini bookmaking. If it's something you've not tried yet, have a go. Because I tell you what, it's so addictive. They're great to give as gifts and keepsakes, and the comments you will get from people when you give them makes it so worthwhile, and that is why I love doing mini books. So as I said to you, we've not stuck this down yet, so I'm going to go in with my tacky glue, my glue of choice. So again, if you're a new crafter, I prefer the Carlisle tacky glue, because number one, it dries clear. Number two, if this seeps out from your project, so I'll put this in place now, you have that little bit of wiggle room. This is what we call wiggle room, where you can manoeuvre it to where you want it. When you spread that down, the glue is going to disperse under your project. But the other good thing about it is, if any seeps out, all you've got to do is wipe it with your wet finger, or wipe it with your finger while it's still wet, and it will not mark your project. And that is why this has always been my glue of choice. And if any of you go back and watch my videos on YouTube from 6 years ago, you will see even then it was my glue of choice. So I'm still using the same glue. So again, just spreading that down, making sure that's a nice stick. So that's my 2 pieces for the flap. Now if you're a seasoned crafter, this is where you could add magnets, but actually you don't really need to with this project, so save your money. So we've got the plain piece here. Okay, so these are measuring, I didn't tell you that, they are on the PDF, so do not worry. So these are measuring 3.25 by 6 3/4, because our card is 7 inches in height. Rule of thumb is go 1/4 of an inch smaller, then that gives you that nice border. Now for the inside of the pocket, there's no point in wasting beautiful pattern paper here because your pocket is going to hide it. So this time I've got 6 3/4 inches by 3 inches. So there's no point in wasting paper because beautiful pattern paper is far too precious to be hidden under a pocket. So we'll pop that on there. Again, giving me that little border all the way around and just smoothing that into place. Now we're going to stick our pocket down. So when you stick your pocket down, we're only actually going to put glue on the 2 straight sides and this straight side. So for this, I'm going to use tacky this time because you get a quicker grip for this. And I want to do a nice, can you see I'm doing a nice thin bead of glue to give me a good size pocket. And that's all you need to do. This glue is strong. Both these glues are really strong and well worth investing in. So we're going to line that up with the straight edges all together. So just take your time lining it all up. So we've got a nice rounded corners on here. And if you want, you can just go in with a bone folder and just burnish those edges down so you've got that nice stick. And then I've got my pattern paper to go on here, and this is 6 3/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. So again, I'm going to go in with my all-purpose just to stick this down. Now you can, I don't know whether you can quite see here, I've got a little bit of glue that's come out, so if I just wipe it with my finger while it's wet and rub it, that hasn't marked my project at all. That is why I do love these glues, so definitely be using these. So that is one pocket ready to go. And then to help this stay flat, if you just go in with your bone folder and just give a really good burnish. Now burnish is where you're actually pushing the cardstock down. You're giving it a really smooth push down. Don't be concerned, it's only a piece of paper. You're not going to damage it at all. And if you look here, because I've pressed so hard, I've got some glue seeping out. So again, going in with my finger and rubbing that away. So that's one page. So you're going to do 4 pages with the flap on this side. So depending on if you've got pattern papers, like we had with the one here with the birds, just bear in mind where your patterns are. Okay, so you're going to have 4 on this side. So I've done mine as all my sort of green tones on this side. And then you're going to do 4 the opposite way round. So I'm just going to pop this together, and I've done all these as pink tones. So I'm just going to glue this together. So bear with me. So now I've got 4 with the flaps going in this way, and another 4 with the flaps going in this way. And then before I finish off, I'm getting my strong, this is really strong double-sided tape. This is about 3/4 of an inch. 1/2 inch is absolutely fine for this project as well. And all I'm doing is, so if that's my flap, I'm putting it on this side. So I'll just stick this down and show you again, so you can see exactly where it's going. If you can't get hold of some really strong like I've got here, you could use score tape or you could use red liner tape. If you're going to get any of those, I would definitely go for at least a 1/2 inch. Okay, and all I'm doing again is just burnishing with my bone folder, because this helps to get a good stick to the card, so when we actually peel the backing off, it comes away easily. So what you're doing is on the other side of this part, you're sticking your tape, and you're going to do that, if I turn these over, on all of them. So they're all now ready to be stuck into our mini book. So the next thing we're going to look at is the hinge itself. So let me bring in my card for the hinge. So I've already cut and prepared this. Now you could use another one of your card blanks, because by using a card blank to make your hinges rather than A4, if I bring one out, you will see that you've got it exactly the right length for your project. So if I bring one of these out, so by actually using the card blank, you know you've got the right size. So if you wanted to sacrifice one more of your card blanks, I would do it, saves you that extra measurement. Okay, so for the hinge itself, because bearing in mind these are 5x7 cards, so what I've done is, obviously they're all cut at the 7-inch high. This first one is measuring 3.5 inches across, and I've done a score line in at 3/4 of an inch on both sides. So it's looking like that. The next one is 2.5 inches, and this time I've done score lines at 1/2 inch on both sides. So I'm just going to burnish those because I hadn't burnished those. So just fold those in. That's when you fold it on the score line, and then just burnish that down. So that then is your 2.5 inches scored in at 1/2 inch on both sides. And then your last one is 1.5 inches, and again scored in at 1/2 inch on both sides. Now new crafters may not know what scoring is, so can I just take a moment to share this with new crafters. Now the Crafter's Companion guillotine I've got here actually does have your score lines in it as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to line it up. So I've lined this up in the middle between, I've got 4 inches here and 1/2, but bear in mind I know each of these lines coming down is 1/4 inch. So as long as I've got it all level and lined up, which is the great thing about this guillotine, okay, and I just come in 1 notch, 2 notch, because I know that's 1/2 inch, and then just score all the way down with the score tool that actually comes with it. Now you need to do the same on the other side. Now if you are new and you're worried about holding it, don't be worried, just turn it round. Again, make sure it's all lined up, because it is easier to hold this way. I'm right-handed, and that's the way I find it easier to hold. Left-handed people, same again, you'll probably be the mirror side. And again, just score down on the 1/2 inch. That's called scoring. Okay, you can score as well with a ruler. So if you don't have a guillotine, it's quite easily done with a ruler as well. So if you just get your ruler, make some pencil marks as to where your line needs to be, and then with your bone folder, if you've got one like here that's got a nice smooth edge on it, you can quite easily just score with that as well. So there's several different ways that you can actually score. You can actually score on paper trimmers as well. So, but if you go back and watch some of my other videos, you'll see, I think there's even a video, I've done a separate video on about using the Scorepal scoreboard and how to actually score on it. So if you are new to crafting, just check that out and you'll find that on my YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe, of course, if you're new to this and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet. There's lots of videos on there. So I'm just going to burnish that down, and then we can pop this together. Now with this hinge system, it's like a cantilever. It's going to come back on itself, and this gives it, or gives us, the option that the pages fold flat out when we are looking at our books. Okay, and this is why I like this type of hinge. In fact, I don't use it enough, but it works great. So if you haven't tried it before, do give it a go. So this is my 3.5 inch piece with my 3 3/4 inch score lines in, and I've just popped tape on both those sides. Now the next piece I'm going to get is my 2.5. I've got my pieces already folded up. This is where the pages are going to attach, and this time I'm going to go in with the tacky glue, and I'm using wet glue because with wet glue, once it's down, it's down. You could use double-sided tape, the really strong double-sided tape if you like. Some areas, I know there's some places abroad with the humidity, it does get too high, and what happens is they fall apart in time. So I find a good liberal brushing of your tacky glue does the job. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop this into the centre. So just take your eyeball, which is your eyes, and just line it up. You've got that little bit of wiggle room, it is a glue. So then once you're happy that that's central, I then just put the wings out, and just with my hand going back in with that bone folder again and burnishing down. What this is doing is this is spreading the glue for us. Okay, so by burnishing that glue down, it means your cardstock is going to get a nice strong adhesion, and also your glue adds as an extra layer. But you can see there it's nicely stuck down. If you've got any that seeped out, just rub with your finger while it's still wet. That's down absolutely beautifully. And then we're going to go down again with the last one. So I'm just putting the glue on the spine itself. Okay, so I've got a nice strong on there, and again just going in the middle. And with this one, you'll find if you pop it out on each side, it fits perfectly in that middle piece. See, I've got some glue seeping out on the top there, but that's fine. You're better off to have glue seeping out than not enough glue and have an album fall apart, because when you give these albums away, you do not want them falling apart. Okay, so just check, no glue there and no glue there. Now that will need to set aside just to dry because it is wet glue. And a good thing you could do is, because it is the hinge as well, is just put some weight on it. I've got a punch here. Just put some weight on it, just to help lay it flat while it's drying. So that's our hinge. Next, let's look at our covers. Now, many of you that have done mini books with me in the past, you can do your covers in various ways. You can do board covers using grey boards, which gives a stronger look. You can do covers, I was just going to pick an album out and show you actually. You can do covers, let me pick one up and show you from my craft room here. There we go. So if I look at this album here, can you hear that? That's grey board. So that's grey board underneath there, and then you have to allow your spaces for that. But because I want this to be for a beginner, this might be a bit too advanced to start with. But seasoned crafters out there, if you wanted to make a harder cover, go ahead and do your harder cover. You could always as well do the cereal box cheats way of doing a cover. Perfect as well. So you can give that one a go. But actually I'm just going to use the A4 cardstock we've got here to make a cover, because time we've got paper back and front, with our super strong glue, it's going to make it sturdy enough. So I've got 2 pieces of the A4 here, and I've cut these to this is cut to 7.5 inches wide by, oh, it's a 7.5 inch square. It was a day since I've done this, so this is 7.5 by 7.5, and then on one side I've done a score line of 2 inches. Now you'll probably think, how do you know you need a 2-inch spine, Dawn? I know I need a 2-inch spine because this is my spine, and if I measure there to there, that is 2 inches. So this is going to be my spine. Okay, so there's one, and then there's the other. So I'll just give that a burnish down. Now again, this could be stuck in several ways. You could use your double-sided tape. You could use another product, actually this new out, that you could use is the double-sided adhesive sheets, if you can get hold of these from Crafter's Companion. These are really super sticky, brilliant. But I'm going to go in with the wet glue. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my tacky glue. So again, I'm just giving a nice liberal coating. What I'm wanting to do is just to show new crafters, but I know a lot of you seasoned crafters are going to love this album too. I want to show new crafters how you can make mini albums with just a very few supplies. So I put glue on one side, and then this side is going to stick onto here. So I need to stick that just down. Just make sure it's all level with your score line. Again, go in with your bone folder, get that glue nicely dispersed underneath, get that spread out. Okay, got a little bit of seepage there, not a problem. Wipe it away with your finger, done. And I've got some coming out the top, do the same with that. So that's ready to go. So, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to pop that to one side to dry. Because I've used wet glue, you do need some time for that to dry. However, in good fashion, I can bring one here that I've previously done and got dry. Okay, so that is our cover for our book. Okay, for our mini book. So before we do anything else, I'm going to attach my hinge. And again, in good fashion, I've got one that's nice and dry. Okay, so this was one I did yesterday, so I know it's nicely dried with all the glue. And I'm going to show you how we're going to stick it down. So if you see, it fits perfectly in the spine, but you've got a little 1/8 of an inch, just top and bottom, okay, just to give that coverage on the album. So I've got my super sticky tape on here, so I'm going to take one side off, and I'm going to stick one side at a time. So if you lay all your hinges out the way, now it won't matter at this stage, but let me just put this down first. So I'm just eyeballing the top and the bottom. If you're not sure about eyeballing, make yourself a couple of little pencil marks, doesn't matter at all. And then again, I'm going in with my bone folder and giving that a good press down so that sticks. And then I'm going to remove the one off this other side. Fold that back on itself. Move my hinges over on that side so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Oh, because this is going to act like a counterlever. And then I'm going to just open these hinges, because this time I can't fold it back, and I'm just pressing down. I'm going quite forceful, okay, just to make sure I've got a really good stick. Okay, so that is now all stuck ready. That's our pages all ready, and the next stage is to start decorating. Right, I've sorted out some pattern papers to decorate my mini book. So I've picked these to go on the inside covers of the book. So if I put these to one side, these are going to go on here. And the reason I've popped on some extra pink is because it's going to give me another space to put a photograph. So let me just have a look at the sizes of these. Yeah, I'm happy with those. So these two inside covers are measuring 5 1/4 inches by 7 1/4 inches, and these are going to stick on the inside here. So again, I've got that little 1/8 of an inch gap. Now I really have got an 1/8 of an inch gap here because I want this to be sturdy because it's my cover. Okay, so again, going in with the all-purpose because it sets like concrete, and I'm putting quite a liberal amount. And the nice thing about the all-purpose as well, another thing I haven't mentioned, is that when you pop it down, even on very thin papers you've got, I've even used it, you know, freebie papers you get out of magazines, I've even used it on there, and you know, don't get any bubbling or warping. So this is why it is just perfect. You're not going to get it with this paper collection because it's a good quality paper collection, but if you wanted to have a go at making this just with some cheaper papers you've got first to give yourself a go, please do. That's what it's all about. You can see I've just got that just rubbing that away. Can you see it just rubs away without marking my project? Okay, so, and then I'm going to pop this one. Now, one thing I didn't say to you is, you know, we had our wrap round cover. What you do is when you look at it, you've got your nice smooth side, which I tend to put at the front, and this side, which I tend to pop at the back. So actually this is the side I want for my front cover. So this is where I'm going to pop this one. So this is going to be my front, and I need to remember that because the paper I've picked for the front cover has got the beautiful lady on it. So I'm just going to have this as a memory book, but this is where it's nice to make these and to give to people, and they can use them for whatever they like, really. You know, just by changing the paper collection, this could be a baby album, this could be a wedding album, this could be a child's birthday party, it could be a day out at the zoo. You know, just by changing your papers, your album is going to have a totally different feel. Okay, so that's my two inside covers. I know this is the front, so I'm going to turn this over, flatten my hinge down. So these are the papers I've picked for the front. I've already inked my edges. So I'm going to have my beautiful lady there because I'm thinking I can decorate that up. I've got another one just here, and then I've cut my piece for the spine itself. So again, these are measuring 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and then my spine is measuring 1 3/4 by 7 1/4. So let's stick these down now as well. And I think even you seasoned crafters out there that make lots of hardboard books with me, I think if you try this with the paper and adding your pattern paper on the top, I think you are going to be surprised how sturdy your book becomes. Let me just mark. See, I've got a little bit seeping out there. This is the stage to do it. Don't let it dry. Get it while it's wet and just keep rubbing it. It rubs away just like a rubber would do, you know, when you're at school. There we go. So it just rubs away. Doesn't mark the project. Perfect. So let's stick these two beautiful ladies down, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to stick our pages in. This album is very quick to put together, which is brilliant. So I know a lot of you have been with me for the 6 years I've been on YouTube making mini books and doing cards and techniques and things, but I know a lot of you are going to be new crafters, and I would love to hear from you. You can leave me a message obviously here with this project. you can pop over to my Facebook page, which is Dawn's Inspirations, and leave me a comment or anything on there. And if you make one of these, I'd love to see pictures. Now, when you go to Facebook to post a picture as a visitor, you can only post one image. But if you fancy emailing me your images and I can pop a post on for you, you can email me at dawn@dawnsinspirations.com. I'll leave the email address below. And you can also check out my website, which is dawn@dawnsinspirations. So if you just go into your search engine, put in Dawn's with an S, Inspirations, you'll see my website. There's lots going on there, from demo days to card making to techniques with products to mini books. And the nice thing about it is as well is I love to hear from you, which is good. But do pop over and say hi, because I love to see what you're all getting up to, and I love to see you share what you've made as well with these projects. Okay, so several ways you can find me. So that is our cover done. Now normally I would set that aside just for half an hour just to dry, but actually that's quite a sturdy cover already. So I'm just going to lay my hinge to one side and fold this over, get a nice line on there, and I'm going to do exactly the same the other way before we start filling our pages. Right, so let's bring in these pages. So I've got green and pink, or greens and pink, and I'm going to fill my book like this. So I've decided to go one side, one the other side, just the way I wanted to work, or wanted to roll, as they say. So let's start at the back. So with your back one, what you're going to do is you're going to need one of your green ones, because your tabs are going to be facing downwards. So actually I'm going to pick that colour because I think that matches in nicely with that back page. So first job, take off the tape. Now another thing I'd like to know is I tend to do all my videos in real time, so you can craft along with me. With the pages we did go, I made one and got you to make the rest, but I'd love to know how you feel and how you like them to be done. So please do message me and get in touch and tell me how you would like the videos done. I know a lot of people prefer it in real time. You like the fact that when I'm filming that my right hand is your right and left is your left, which is what I wanted. But at the end of the day, I'm doing this for you, and I want you to be happy with how I'm doing things. So I've stuck this one onto my hinge. I'm now going to go in with my glue again, glue of choice. If you can't get Collall, you could use the Cosmic Shimmer glue or a good PVA glue. You want something that's going to be sturdy and going to stick. Now I'm putting a pink one on next, okay, because the flaps are always going inwards. So I've got a sticky bit there, I've got my super sticky piece here. What I do to start with is to line up this line with this line. So if you just line those up evenly and then drop that down, that should match up perfectly. Open up that flap, and then this is where again going in with your bone folder, dispersing that glue, making sure that double-sided adhesive has stuck onto there. Open that flap up, I've got no leakage there. I'm just going to fold that over, and I'm just going to, all I'm doing is dispersing this glue. I want this glue to spread so it's all going to stay nice and tight together. So let me show you one more time. So we've got pink, so the next one we're going to head for is green. So again I'm going to lay it flat out like this, take my backing off, going to do this next one with you in real time, and then I'm going to forward the camera on so you can see it done. But as I'm doing this, can you see I've got my card under here? If you line it all up, everything will match. You can see how super sticky this tape is. It is really sticky. So I'm just lining that up, getting that where I want, and then I'm going to just push my hinge back onto the sticky. Okay, in with the wet glue. Lots of it. I don't want the projects falling apart. This is something that's going to last for years. Okay, so now we need to have the next flap in, which is going to be the pink. So I take my tape off. The sun is coming out through my craft room window. I'm going to get this line and line it up, and I'm putting that down first. So I'm holding up where my tape is, and then the last bit to go down is that double-sided tape. Open that up and burnish. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to speed the camera up so you can see it being done, but you don't want it done in real time because we need to now get on with the photo mats. You can see already how nicely this is starting to come together. Can you see already, if I just close that up like that, it's looking fantastic. So this time I'm going to start on this outside one here. So this would be, that's going to be green, that's going to be pink, that's going to be green, so this one's going to be pink. So I'm going to start on this side, move all these out of the way for a minute. So I'll be back to you in real time once I've done this. So that's our pages in. That's our pages in, and then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to turn this. What I'm going to do is I just want to really burnish where the flaps are, so they get a nice stick together. So, and don't be afraid to turn your projects. So I've got this upside down at the moment, but because I'm trying to get it where I want it, I know it seems strange. I'm going to turn it back round the right way while I do this side. And by burnishing just these flaps here, it's keeping them that they stay flat. Now, seasoned crafters out there, you may want to add some magnets, and you can, but for a beginner I don't want to complicate things, plus that's something we can progress to. Okay, but can you see how flat this book lays with this particular hinge system? Can you see when you've got all the pages on one side that they lay nice and flat in the book? You've got nothing that's bulking up, it just lays beautifully, and you have that sort of waterfall look with your pages, but the same way it's flat. But then when it's together, look at that, it just looks amazing. It's just a fantastic mini book, I think you will agree. So now we need to add some photo mats to go in here. So let me just pop this to one side. I've already started on my photo mats. So what I've done with the photo mats, I've actually used the A4 cardstock. And if you get your A4 cardstock and you cut it in half and then half again, it's a size that's called A6. And this is the size that we've got here. So basically these are going to measure 4 1/8 across and 5 3/4 high. But rather than wasting cardstock, I think they are going to be the perfect size to add to our books. So what I've done with these is I've corner rounded, again going in with my corner rounder. I've corner rounded 2 of the sides, but then I've cut from my scraps, I cut some squares, just some squares of the card. And these are measuring, let me just check the measurement. These are measuring 1.5 inch squares. That's all I've done. But these make perfect little photo mats or photo corners for your photo mats, because we could cover this all with pattern paper, but if you're going to add photographs, I think it's a bit of a waste personally. So what I'm going to do is go in with my tacky glue. I've got 2 corners around it and 2 I've left square. So just by going in with the tacky, if you just do a thin bead of glue, okay, and then stick your corners on. They might wiggle around to start because you have got that wiggle room, but that's why I've used the tacky, because it's a bit of a quicker grip. It does soon set, that's set already. So just make sure they're lined up with the corner. And then I'm going to turn it over and do exactly the same on the reverse, because with your book you can add up to, if you're going to put, you've got 8 pages and you're going to do 2 photographs on each of these, that's 16 before we even start to add photographs to the main body of the project. So that's going to go on there, and that's going to go on there. But it's just a great way to use your scraps up. It means you haven't got to waste with your beautiful pattern paper. And then if I bring in here, as you can see, this is one that's dried, your photographs would just slip under there. So with your photographs slipping under there, you're going to have a nice border. So all you've got to do is trim your photographs down, and they can slide quite easily under the little photo corners you've done. So if you're using original photographs and you don't want to add glue, perfect. So I've got 8 of these in total. Again, I've just used the scraps of card that I've got. So I've got some green, some pink. So let's pop those into our book. So straight away you've got 16 here, but you've also got one back and front. That's 18. Okay, so that's 18 photographs. But you could cut a photograph down and add on here. You could make some extra photo mats, because you could quite easily put 2 in here, but I've allowed it just as the one because time you've got the bulk of your photographs back and front. Okay, so you could put photographs on here and on here and on here. So this is where you can add lots of extra photographs. So I'm saying a minimum of 18, but you could quite easily add a lot more than 18 photographs to this mini book. So I hope you've all enjoyed making it. I thoroughly enjoyed making it. It's super quick, which is just perfect. You can make it with majority of supplies you've already got in your crafty stash, because I know you seasoned crafters out there keep all sorts in your crafty stash. So quite easily to be made, just with cards and some A4, and you could use scraps of pattern paper that you've got left to start with as well if you wanted. But I think you will agree that it makes a perfect project. All I've got to do is to decorate my front, so I will go ahead and decorate my front. Now, I said to you, you can do this with any size cards. So let me bring this one in here. This one is made with 6x4 cards, so you can see how easily you can do it with your 6x4 cards. Exactly the same concept. You are going to use the same measurements as in the width for your spine. So your spine is always going to be the same measurements. All that's going to differ is the height. But if you're using your card blanks, you know with your spine, you're not going to go wrong because you've got the right measurement for your spine. Okay. That's making it with rectangular cards. But you can also do this project with square cards. So this is made with 5x5, but you could quite easily make it with 6x6. So the possibilities are absolutely endless. You can quite easily make this with any size cards you've got, up to 8x8 very easily. It will make a super album. And I think you will agree that I think it's something you're going to come back and use time and time again. Not just new beginner crafters, but I think you seasoned crafters are going to love this album. I love the fact that when it's open, it lays flat. Perfect. I haven't got to fumble about trying to get into my pockets because it all lays flat. So it just looks beautiful, nice to the eye, doesn't cost a lot to make. So I hope you've enjoyed the project. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can see other things that are going on, and also have a look. I've been on YouTube now for 6 years now. There are different projects on there, some easy, some harder. And if you check out my website as well, there's all the free tutorials on there. You can pop over there to this project, and if you want to download the PDF to go with this, if you go to the website, I'll leave the link below in the photo in the sort of description of this project. If you go to my website, click the link, it takes you to the website, and just fill in your name and email address, and you can download the PDF to go with this, so you've got it to keep. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it. All I've got to do now is put a bit more decoration on my front cover. I'm ready to go. So I'm Dawn from Dawn's Inspirations. I hope you've enjoyed the project, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.